Welcome to another edition of Trending Educational News on Here TV Africa, #1 internet radio and web TV on education. My name is Florence Emmanuel, and I'm going to be your host for today's episode, being the 23rd week of our Trending Educational News from Verified Newspaper. Here are the headlines for the week. Parents: 4 others arrested for assaulting Ondo Vice Principal. Corp members: students recount death scare after Waec exam hall collapse. House of Representatives grills Waec over examination disruption. NASS urges federal government to allow polytechnics award degrees. Federal government proposes establishment of exam malpractices tribunal. The next one, Kano Varsity student protest. Kano Varsity student protest. Fee hikes from 19,000 to 53,350 naira. And the next one, Education Rights Campaign urges University of Ibadan to reverse fee hike. And the last one for today, stakeholders disagree with Waec NECO on the use of CBT for the forthcoming examination. Today, as you all know, I'm not alone. I have a very important guest in the studio with me. He will join us right after the short break. Don't go away. I will be right back.
Abafab College of Innovation and Content Creation offers 6 months and 12 months training into content creating, internet radio, sound engineering and music production, film and video editing, and OAP and cinematography. For more detail, chat 0802312959.
Welcome back. It's week 23 of Trending Educational News on Here TV Africa. Like I said, it's our culture to always bring you professionals from the educational sector to dissect our headlines. Today, I said I have a very important guest in the studio, Mr. Emmanuel Akinyemi. Thanks for joining us this morning. Yeah, Mr. Emmanuel, thanks for joining us today on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go by the first one. Parents and 4 others were arrested for assaulting Ondo Vice Principal in Akure, Ondo State to be precise. And the attack was based on the principal was attacked because he confiscated a mobile phone from one of the students. So I was like, in schools now, we have a lot of happening inappropriate activities going on, especially from the students to their teachers. So thinking about this, do you think there are better ways that parents, because parents were actually involved in this activity, are there other better ways? Because before now, it wasn't like this. Other ways that are very, very important to address parents, especially on education aspects.
Thank you. You see, they said charity begins at home.
Exactly.
And because charity begins at home, the upbringing of our children now is very poor. Parents are not playing their roles. They leave everything to the responsibility of the school. And the school cannot totally take care of that. School needs to play its own role, and parents needs to play their own role.
Yes.
And this is what happened. What happened is that from kindergarten to whatever level of school, in fact, up to tertiary institution these days, you discover that parents intervene in the discipline of the pupil in school. Why must parents go to school to interfere because a child is being corrected? So, and when that is done, what do you expect? That child, because there is no discipline, there is no moral behavior from home, you should expect that this child will misbehave in school. And because what is wrong with a principal collecting a phone from a student? I don't see anything wrong with that. But the fault is from the parents because these children were not properly brought up. And so they don't know the ethics of respect. They don't know the ethics of following school principles, school rules, and school behaviors. They don't have it because they are not properly cultured. That is the problem. And so the problem here, if they are going to tame it, our parents have to be up and doing. They have to be up and doing in terms of their children obeying school rules. First, it has to happen domestically because we have what we have. Education starts from home.
Yes, from
Education starts from home, because when you
exactly.
give birth to your children from day one, these days they say age one, age two, go to nursery school. Those days we get to maybe age six before you can start. But
Exactly.
it's no longer like that these days. And so from that very age up until when you take them to nursery school, you should be able that you inculcate discipline into
Into
them,
them.
respect into them, obeying rules and regulation into them. And this thing now, it is not just within the school premises alone, it has been taken into the larger societies. That is the problem we're having. So our parents these days have to be up and doing in child upbringing, in parenting.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. And even okay, that will lead us to the next one that we have here. The federal government proposes the establishment of examination malpractices tribunal, and this was proposed the creation of national examination malpractice courts to expedite the prosecution of examination related offenses. When I saw this news, I was just thinking that a whole lot of parents would want to kick against this. Because tell me, when a child is involved in malpractices and the child is to face the tribunal, we have parents that, but don't let me put words into your mouth, but let me just ask my question. How effectively do you think that this specialized tribunal will be able to curb the examination malpractices aside and other vices related to it?
Hmm. You see, I love being factual,
And realistic.
and realistic when issues like this come up. I can assure you of one thing: it can never work.
Hmm.
I am 100% sure of that. Let me tell you this: we have three tiers of government in Nigeria.
Yes.
Okay, we have the federal, the state, and
And
the
the
local
local
government.
government.
Now, those days, school is the sole responsibility of the local government. Ministry of Education through the local government will come to school and checkmate if teachers are doing the right thing or the wrong thing, and check if students are being cultured or not. And in fact, it gets to an extent whereby they come to school with scissors. They trim
So
your hair.
trim the hair.
They trim your hair.
Even
They check your
fingernails.
nails. They check everything. They check your uniform. They check your dressing. Is this school following the rules of education? This comes from the local government. Why is it now the responsibility of the federal government
Government
to take this
to
up?
implement those.
Why? So it's wrong in the first place. It means you have taken the responsibility of those that are supposed to be in charge to the federal level, not even state. And tell me how you want to channel it. It's just like our police force. When it comes to security, they have to take an order from Abuja, from the federal to the
Of
state.
course.
So it's not working, it's not effective. The same thing is going to happen with this. Because the chain of command will be too long. And so before it gets there, and don't forget, by the time it gets there, the Nigerian factor will come in. Parents will influence it and say,
Exactly.
look, I don't want you to discipline my child, just like what they are doing now, just like what happened to that principal.
That was supposed to be my next question.
You know,
Is equity visible in this initiative? Do you think equity will be visible in the
that's what I'm
initiative?
saying. There's no equity. There is no equity. Because the fact remains that Nigerians were not interested in doing the right thing. We're interested in doing the wrong thing.
Taking the
Parents know
shortcut.
fully well that their children they do what we call ecomog.
Okay.
As in you write some things in a sheet of paper, put it in your
Exactly.
pocket, go to the exam hall, you bring it out and you copy, you copy
All
and
forms of
paste.
malpractice.
You copy and paste. They know it very well. And they aid their children in doing that. And that is why they take their children to special centers
To write their exam.
to write their exams, knowing fully well that those special centers on the examination day will go there to help their people, to help their children to write the exam in order for them to pass. Look at what happened in JAM. And that is why you should know that there will be no equity. How can a parent pay 2 million naira because you want your child to have a high score? What of those that will sit down and use their brain to write the exam? And because they have a lower score, the space is no longer for them for admission. It's no longer there for them for admission. What do you expect? So The whole thing boils down to the factor of parenthood. Our parents are the one, destroying our educational system, coupled with governmental policies,
I think I agree with you.
coupled with governmental policies. Because governmental policies, I don't know why every day somebody will come in and they said you are a new minister, you just sleep, you wake up, the ideas you have, your idiocracies, you just bring it up like that and implement. Knowing fully well it cannot work. Sorry to round it up. Let me just chip in this. Look at the issue of vocational schools and technical colleges. You are bringing it up now as if it's a new thing. What is new about it? We have technical schools all over the country. It has been in existence since 70s, and it was because of negligence. They are bringing up this issue today, making it look as if it's a new thing. And that's why you discover that when it comes to entrepreneurship, vocational skills is not there for our children. A lot of them would have gone for it.
This is talking about Corp members that escaped the injury. The Corp member, the students as well, that escaped injury during a collapse at Taraba. So my question is, what step do you think can be taken to ensure the safety of examination venue across the country? So let me just give you a brief background of the story. So during the Waec session at Government Secondary School in Gasso local government area of Taraba State, a classroom collapsed amid a heavy downpour. Student teachers and National Youth Service Corps members narrowly escaped the injury, while some sustained minor injuries. The incident highlights the urgent need for the infrastructure assessment of public schools across the country. So, considering this, what step do you think can be taken into measure, to curb this occurrence? Today, we see establishment of infrastructures in public schools here and there, but still we have stories like this. Do you think the governments are not doing what they are supposed to do, or they are just focused on building infrastructures in public school, not considering those that has been in existence? Probably they are functioning or they are not functioning.
Honestly, you see, I don't know. The point remains that most at times when issues like this happen, we just scratch it on the surface, believing that we're solving the problem. We don't go to the root cause of this problem to solve it. It's like you are trying to terminate a tree and you don't cut it from the roots. The tree will still sprout again and continue to grow. Now the problem is this. Tell me, these exam centers all over the country, how many of them did they actually go to assess and see if this building or these structures are well built?
Exactly my point.
Check the structure. How old is this building? Is there any probability that anything can happen if there is a storm? If there's a heavy downpour?
Or like what happened?
Like this one?
Yes.
If we have a torrential rainfall, is there anything that could happen to this building? It doesn't happen. This is what happened. You just go, you tell them, I have a space to be used for examination center. And they ask you, do you have, if it's going to be a CBT exam, they ask you, do you have computers there? And you said, yes, I have computers. And they said, okay, the man on the table will just ask you, okay, what can you give us? And you say, okay, how much is it? Maybe you were even supposed to pay maybe like 500K. And they will just ask you, okay, bring 200. You yourself, you know that this building cannot stand that crowd. Yet you are going there to get an approval. And those in charge are not coming to assess the building. So what do you expect?
Risking the life of people.
What do you expect? Because we don't have value for life.
That's just...
We don't have value for life. I don't want to go into the issue of insecurity because we're not discussing that now. But the truth is that in Nigeria, for me, we don't have value for life. If we have value for life and you know that the future of this country depends on these students that are dying, then you will take a step. How can you take children, students to an exam center that the structure is not well built? You know it fully well that if there is a storm, it's going to collapse. If there is a torrential rainfall, it's going to collapse. And yet you take these children, people's children, that they have suffered, they spent money for, to take care of them and educate them to this level. And you don't care about their life and they just die like that. It's appalling.
Exactly.
Honestly, and it's terrible.
It's even a bad representation of this country.
And yet you want to be topmost or to be recognized educationally in the world. It will be difficult because you don't have value for it. And it's quite unfortunate that a particular section of this country they're not even interested in education. It is because the elites among them discover that if they don't have it, they can't come to the center. And that's why they push their own children and they leave others and call them almajiris and push them on the streets. Honestly, it's terrible.
Thank you very much for your input. We urge that the government, make sure that there are structural assessments of centers before they are being used for examination. Thank you very much, Sam. So we move to the next one. The National Association of Polytechnic Students has called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to allow polytechnics award degrees. This dichotomy has been on for a very long time between the university and polytechnics. Do you think there can be a level of equity, or the perception of people, of the Nigerians, concerning the HND and the BSc? To me, I think that there should have been a level by which they would have I don't know how to put it, but there should have been a ground that would, place both the HND holders and the BSc holder on the same platform. And we have been talking about this thing for a number of years, HND and BSc. So do you think that there are potential benefits? I know they have, but potential benefits for HND holders and BSc holders, especially in Nigeria?
Let me start from this angle. I met a Chinese man at Plateau State, and I asked him, and we were talking. As we were talking, he told me, he said, when they come to Nigeria, they call them engineers. What happened is that they attend vocational school. They are not engineers. Are you getting me now?
Yes, I am.
Now, in this country, we know that there is difference between a technical college and the university.
Yes.
I know of a guy who read mechanical engineering in the Polytechnic.
Okay.
He's in Abuja. He opened up a workshop and he became the best auto mechanic you can find within that environment. He became the best because he has acquired his knowledge from the Polytechnic. A university graduate who read mechanical engineering does not know anything about
Practicals, exactly.
What he knows, he's a designer.
Sorry.
He's a designer. So the skill and the knowledge and the education you acquire from the Polytechnic is different from the one you acquire from the university. And when it comes to the issue of certificates, HND
and
BSc, it means your technical skill. I know that, and it works in most organizations. I have a friend presently that is in Agbara, this company. I've forgotten the name. He has HND. When he got there, because of his technical skill, they placed him straight as a manager because of his technical skill. So I don't know why you are trying now to destroy our skill acquisition institutions like the Polytechnic. And then you are vying for a designing skill, which is the university. I don't know why. I don't know why our politicians, they are the ones. They are the ones. They are the ones destroying our educational systems. Sorry, I have to be blunt here. Because a lot of them don't go to school, they graduate, and they go to the universities to buy certificates. And send their children to polytechnics and believe that, look, this child should be graded like somebody who has a BSc. They are two levels of educational systems. So we should not use this biasness to kill our polytechnic for what it stands for, just the way we kill our technical colleges and vocational schools. If you go to Lagos Poly here, that is now yes, you know, if you go there, you realize that they have a lot of machineries.
Yes.
A lot of machines they use in training their students for skill acquisition. We don't have that in the university.
Unfortunately,
I have been to two. Yes, I have been to. Okay, you're a product of that school. I have been to two first-generation universities in this country, from the north and to the south here. So I know what I'm saying. I'm not assuming. I know exactly what I'm saying.
Yes,
so
right.
They should please, I beg them, they should not kill our educational system. Let the polytechnic stand for what it stands for. Those days, if you go to the polytechnic, they award you a certificate called Class E. It means you are highly very skillful. If you enter any company like this, you are highly reckoned with. That is the way it is. So why are they trying to kill that now? Why?
Thank you very much, sir. So I think, because I've been thinking and wondering about this particular topic, in fact, I'm so interested in it. You know, I think instead of making sure that there is a level, there is equity between the HND holders and the BSc holder. What we have now is what we call top of degrees. When if you are a graduate of the polytechnic, you need to further by taking another course or a conversion course of 2 years in order to convert your HND. So if there is no relevance of this certificate, I think if the government is not ready to, you know, make both certificates to be equal, so why then do we still have polytechnics?
You see, like what I said, you appoint or employ or whichever a new minister of education. He goes to bed with his wife and then wakes up the following day and then tells you that, look, this policy is not good.
It's no longer good.
Do you understand me? Right from time, what I know is that if you have HND, it's when you want to do your masters, it's either they reduce the number of years you're going to use to do your masters,
or you take a PGD,
or you take a PGDE. If you take a PGDE, a postgraduate diploma in education,
yes,
you go straight and you do your masters.
But
Ordinarily,
now,
masters in Nigeria is 2 years. Overseas is 1 year.
Yeah.
And so, if you do that, you become equal with
yes,
somebody that has a BSc. What is wrong with that process? I don't understand. Why are you now saying that you must go do a first degree before you can do that? That is not what we have on ground. Did you understand what I'm saying now? They create confusion every day. When they sleep in their bedroom, they wake up with their AC on and come out. They just destroy everything for us. Instead of you, now. Not until when you cut off the head before the headache stops. No. What we are saying here is that, okay, this is the policy. Now, what default did you find in this policy? Bring it out and let's correct it. Because it's good. And that is the way it should be. Why must you tell somebody who has done HND, you are telling that person to go back again and do 2 years for a BSc?
Conversion.
For
2
what?
years, 3 years.
Yes, for conversion. Why? Because if you happen to have an A-level GCE, you start from 200 level.
Yes.
And you're telling me that has a HND to also start from 200 level. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
God will help this nation.
Amen.
Honestly, it's annoying.
I think our voices will be heard today, and probably would see a positive response from the government. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. So I'm going to be combining these two, talking about the tuition hike from University of Kano and Ibadan. Considering the this economy, do you think I don't even think it should be a matter for discussion, because the economy is so harsh and people are really finding it very difficult to meet up with a lot of things. So do you think that this hike from Kano University and Ibadan, don't you think this could be this so considering this financial constraints everywhere, especially in Nigeria, don't you think this hike in tuition fee would not lead to a kind of protest, especially the schools affected?
Um, it happens that for some of us that were involved in Aluta, when it comes to um, school fees hike, we go out and we protest
Because it's actually abnormal from 15,000 to
to 50.
52,000,
Okay.
three something.
Yes. We go out to protest. Protesting because of the hike of school fees has always been a culture.
Okay.
And it has always been the culture of maybe the school authority, to just sleep, wake up, and tell you that because there's inflation in town, and then that inflation, the burden must be carried by the students. And what they don't understand is that it is not the students that carries the burden of this hike. It is the parents. We've seen parents that will sell, their assets.
No, I think it's both, because we have students that fend for themselves.
Yes, yes. And then, of course, we have that. We have students that will go and do labor somewhere,
A whole
a whole day.
But we have students that ox within the school.
Yes.
Just to pay their school fees.
I still know somebody, she's in her final year now. She has to bake cake or produce chin-chin just for her to make money to survive. And you are here, the only thing you are thinking of is that these schools we're talking about, particularly the first generation schools that I also went to, the first universities, they said, the first universities and others, the fact remains that the structures are dilapidated. And whose fault? Is the fault of the government. Who owns the school? The government. The fees you've been collecting all along, what have you been doing with it? We get to school, the generators are not working, there is no light. The other day, that was how it happened in UI. There is no light. Not until when they come out to protest and they started putting solar light everywhere. Whose fault?
Okay.
And you are for a school in the north, who are you encouraging? In a region where they are not interested in education. Is that how to encourage them? Is that how to encourage them? Those days there was scholarship.
Yeah.
These days, states cannot even give scholarship to these students. And you are saying we have loans that you want to give to students. Yes, you have to give them loan. How accessible is this loan to the downtrodden? I'm not saying they are not assessing it. No. I'm talking about to the downtrodden, to the man that is in the village, that the child wants to go to school and he's managing to sell his farm produce, to finance his son or daughter in school. How accessible is this loan to this person? We should stop deceiving ourselves and let's be realistic. Yes, there is inflation, but find another way to manage it, please. And that should be cancelled and reversed.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll move to the very last one without wasting much of our time. So this is the stakeholder expresses concern over Waec and NECO adoption of computer-based testing for SSC. Do you think there is any potential benefits or challenge in this transitioning from the CBT to the from the written rather to the CBT?
Yes. Honestly, we cannot say the world cannot be going forward and we are going backward.
Okay.
No, we cannot. If this is the trend all over the world, we cannot stay and remain where we are or be analog. If the world is going digital, we should go digital. If the world is marrying technology into the educational policy, we should do that. But my own take is that they should please look at it that these children are given the maximum training when it comes to IT.
Considering the glitches that we just experienced during this JAMB examination that was just conducted, do you think parents would actually want to accept this?
Yes, parents will accept
Or
it.
probably that is the reason why we have this concern over the adoption.
Um, Actually, the point is this. Let me tell you this. Between me and you, when you want, when there's a policy that comes out and it's not favoring you,
I would object.
you'll be against it.
Exactly.
You will say, no, I don't want this. Now the problem is that parents that are saying they don't want it, that are against it, it is because it's going to work against them.
Okay.
It's going to work against them in the sense that some of these parents are the ones that go to special center and pay for their children to pass GCE and pass Waec and pass SSCE. I can tell you that. You can take it to the bank. Most of them, if you go there now and you quiz them, they are the ones that don't want their children to use their brain to write their exams.
They want to be helped.
Yes, they want to help their children to pass their exams. And I don't know how you can help your... Okay, there was a case whereby a lady was employed in a print media, and they gave her a slot to write an article. She can't write it.
Wow.
She can't write it. You can't write an article for publication. You can't write it. Because why? They spoon-fed her all through her school days. She has to look for somebody, a colleague within the organization, to help her to write so that she will share her salary into two and give to that person. That is the problem. These are the kind of parents we have these days. Because ordinarily, I don't see what is difficult about. I personally trained my children on CBT. I bought them a system, they practiced at home, and when she wrote her JAM, she passed very well. And so it is with others. So what is so difficult about it? So parents are responsible to this. So they're the one that will object it.
So there are potential benefits.
Definitely. That's why I'm telling you that the benefit is that if you leave this place and you go to the States, how do you cope if you don't have this skill? If you go to UK, how do you cope if you don't have this? If you go to Sweden or you go to Ghana here, let me not go too far. You go to Ghana here, how do you cope? The world is going digital.
Exactly. So thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. It's been an awesome time in the studio today. We really appreciate your presence today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, sir. Thank you for staying to the end. We have come finally to the end of today's trending educational news on Here TV Africa. My name still remains Florence Emmanuel. Do well to like, share, subscribe, and comment in our in the comment section. Until next week, we'll meet again. See you. Bye.